Hi everybody, old guy here. I have a rather broad definition of a thriller. More or less, it is any exciting, violent, conflictive, combative, whether there's actual combat or not, type of story that does not involve the supernatural or science fiction. In other words, pretty much everything that isn't romance or mystery or literary fiction or horror, science fiction, fantasy. I include police procedurals and serial killer stories and spy stories and political ones in it. And even techno thrillers and war stories, but to me they're more like a subgenre of a thriller. So yeah, this means I have a wide-ranging selection to choose from, such as these, in no particular order. Number 10, Failsafe by Eugene Burdick and Harvey Wheeler. The ultimate nuclear thriller written in 1962, an arming code transmission accidentally jams and ends up sending a B-52 off to nuke Moscow. Every attempt to stop the bombing fails, and the President of the United States has to make a series of terrifying decisions. There's a flayed bull metaphor that runs throughout the whole book, and it's quite appropriate. This was made into a very decent, if not very stark, movie with Henry Fonda, 1963, 64, something like that. Number 9, The Comedians by Graham Greene. It was a toss-up between this one or The Quiet American, as both novels are pretty much the same story. A smart alecky, cynical, just annoying American or a Westerner ends up in some third world hellhole for some reason or another. In this case, in The Comedians, Mr. Brown inherits his mother's hotel in Port-au-Prince and takes a ship there, meeting a few characters on board who will figure prominently in the upcoming events. The story of the expats is one thing, but it's completely overwhelmed by the horror of the Duvalier regime and the actions of its secret police, the Tonton Macoute. Prepare to have your hair curled. Number 8, The Little Drummer Girl by Jean Le Carré. You knew a Jean Le Carré was going to show up on this list somewhere, and of all the novels that he's read, 95% of them, which I really like, this one is my favorite. A Mossad agent recruits a young English actress to infiltrate a terrorist group and find out the leader's identity. Then things get out of hand. It is a classic Le Carré novel where nothing is what it seems. Number 7, The Fifth Horseman by Larry Collins and Dominique Lapierre. Libyan terrorists plant a hydrogen bomb in New York City and demand Israel vacate all Arab lands or they'll detonate it. Now this was written in 1980, and I'll tell you what, you just change a few of the countries involved, and this feels very current. Number 6, Child 44 by Tom Rob Smith. This is supposedly about a Russian police officer's search for a serial killer who preys on children. But it isn't. It's really about something far more terrifying. The Russian justice system, which does not believe in fact or logic, but in its own infallibility. And if the Russians justice system says there are no murderers in Russia. God help the investigator who disagrees with that opinion. Number 5, Presumed Innocent by Scott Turow. The first of the Kendall County novels, Turow weaves a police and courtroom procedural into one story. Rusty Sabich, deputy prosecutor of Kendall County, becomes the lead attorney investigating the murder of his colleague and former lover, Caroline, until he becomes the lead suspect. Number 4, The Odessa File by Frederick Forsyth. A German journalist investigating the suicide of a Holocaust survivor stumbles across a secret organization providing new identities and protection to former SS officers. It's like The Boys from Brazil, but without the science fiction aspects. Number 3, The Charm School by Nelson Demille. You knew a Nelson Demille was going to show up on there somewhere. And this one, of all the ones that I've read and of his books, this is, again, one of my favorites. Although a lot of them are neck and neck. So what really happened to the MIAs of the Vietnam War? Well, they're in Russia, helping a new generation of KGB agents to perfect their Americanisms, so they can blend in better, because they have things to do here. Number 2, The Day of the Jackal by Frederick Forsyth. Yes, another Frederick Forsyth on the list, which shouldn't be surprising, considering he wrote a boatload of really good thrillers. In this one, French intelligence must stop an assassination plot directed at Charles de Gaulle. Problem is, no one has any idea who the assassin, nicknamed the Jackal, is. This was turned into a very decent movie starring Edward Fox in 1973. Please, don't confuse it with that awful Bruce Willis movie called The Jackal. No relation. And number 1, The Silence of the Lambs by Thomas Harris. Now, you knew this one had to be on there. I mean, there's just no avoiding it. It is the grand poobah of the serial killer novel. Probably the best book of the type, although the forerunner of it, called Red Dragon, I think is actually a better book. Should read the two in tandem. You know the story. FBI agent Clarissa Starling seeks the assistance of convicted serial killer Hannibal Lecter to identify another serial killer called Buffalo Bill, because he skins his humps. That's it. As usual, lists always subject to revision as I read more books. See you later.